everybody.
Sean and Kelly here, the Price and Price Group of eXp Realty, and what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about 10 things you can do to increase your curb appeal for a quicker sale and a higher price sale.
That's right. All right, here we go. All right, so before we dive into that, we've got some news we got to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so with the decreased interest rates, with the market activity that's been happening, with the decreased inventory, it has been announced that the home prices rose faster in December. This is for the Mid-Atlantic area, so this is our entire area here. It's not even just Northern Virginia.
Right.
But home prices, they rose higher than expected in December. In fact, they were so strong that it was higher than it had been in more than a year. So
yeah, that's right. And it's not like prices here were decreasing anyway through the year. We never got to where house prices were falling in our area. So this is just, hey, we slowed down on the rising, and now it's like, whooshoo.
So just it's time. It's time. If you're thinking about buying, the spring has sprung.
Right.
We're already seeing. We just had a property earlier this week that a buyer was interested in. Sold in 5 days, 15 offers. We don't know what it sold for because they won't be disclosed until settlement, but we're starting to see the multiple offers starting to escalate again. So if you're a buyer, don't wait, because when spring hits, it's going to be chaotic.
Yeah, it goes into the thing we said in a previous video, which was you pick your poison, right?
Yes.
So if you held out because the interest rates were too high, well, we said when the interest rate's lower, then you're going to be struggling to get any property under contract without multiple bids, waiving contingencies and all that. So welcome to it, everybody. You got your lower interest rates, and so now you guys can get back in the game.
Yep, and it's going to get even worse because the rates are going to keep coming down going into spring, and so that market's going to get really aggressive. So, okay,
aggressive, but we got you.
But we got you. Yes, we can still get you in there. All right, so that's the update. That's not the market update. We'll get into more detail. Yeah,
that's just a little
whoop whoop. Okay, so let's dive into what provoked this conversation.
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing to consider is we're talking in this scenario. We're not talking about you just bought a house and you're thinking about what do you want to do with the outside, how's it going to increase value.
It's not for your livability. This is for you need to put a good product on the market to sell quickly and for the highest amount possible.
Yes. And the thing that brought this conversation up was I was with some buyers and they went under contract on a new build, and we were talking to the new build sales rep, and we, as you all know, if you buy a new build property, you're buying that property, it's going to be in the future. In this situation, it's like 4 months, but the purchase is going to be in the future, and in that contract, you don't have an appraisal contingency, so you have to worry about appraisal. You have to weigh the options.
Yeah.
So in the conversation about this, we were talking about the appraisal, and the builder had no issues with it. They said the only time they're having issues is if somebody goes in and spends hundreds of thousands of dollars on their landscaping.
Right, because surprisingly, a lot of people don't realize that when you're getting a new build and you're choosing all the build outs, upgrades, and everything, you're also choosing your landscaping. And quite often there's a basic package, just like with the house, but you can improve upon that. And whenever you start going too far with landscaping, that's money out of your pocket, and you're risking the appraisal for that.
To the point that the builders will have their buyers sign an addendum stating that they understand that putting this much landscaping does risk the appraisal. Right. So that's what we want to focus on here, because if you're thinking about doing some extensive landscaping to increase the value and the sales price of your house, you might increase the appeal of the house, but when it comes to appraisal, you might put yourself at risk.
Yeah, and assuming you're getting a new build, you're not prepping it to sell anytime soon.
Yeah.
This topic is not about landscaping at all. It's just what brought it up. But you want to think, is this something I can put off over the next 3 years? Let's do the landscaping slowly, once we've lived here and we see what we really want as far as privacy. Is there going to be someone in the backyard? Do I want to put more trees in the back, more in the front? All of that kind of stuff is really better spent later after you've been in it. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. And anything that we talk about, if you're in an HOA or have any kind of an association that is involved with this, make sure that everything you do is approved. Okay?
Yes. Okay. We'll be mentioning that a couple of times.
Yes, we will. All right, so let's dive in. What are the 10 things that we can do? Okay, so the first thing is keep the grass freshly cut and edged. Edging, in my opinion, it's a personal opinion, really sharpens up
I think
the
it's a
yard.
fact. I don't think it's just your opinion. I think that's a fact.
Yeah, it sharpens that yard.
Fact,
It makes
Jack.
it look great. We used to walk around with our kids in our neighborhoods in Florida and stuff, and you would walk along and you'd see this thick edge and you'd see this soft grass and you just wanted to take your shoes off and go roll around.
Well, as a matter of fact, our kids said, "Can we
Yes.
touch it?"
Yeah.
Yes, take your shoes off and touch it. It's great.
So keeping the grass mode edged is really, really important.
Edge just says, wow, they care a lot.
They pay attention to detail.
And it's going to translate into the property that they're getting, and they're going to imagine and already think and assume about you that you care a lot and all the little things that they don't see in your house.
That's exactly right. Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Pay attention to detail.
Yes.
Yep. Clutter, removing the clutter from the backyard, from the yard. Things like, what are you thinking?
Okay, so what might be fun and really integral to your family is clutter when it's a product. Clutter is a trampoline, a swing set, a basketball hoop. I mean, unless it's done really well, and it's like this is the basketball area, it's almost a permanent fixture that's amazing, that could be a selling point, but just the typical basketball net, I'm sorry, it's clutter whenever your home is a product.
Yeah, because you want them to be able to imagine themselves there,
Right.
and you want it to be clean, and they want to feel like it's fresh. So
Yes.
yeah, and bikes,
I have
kid
an old
toys.
little bunny that I keep outside of my front door that I think, I'm like, this is not clutter. It's
clutter.
clutter.
The other thing you want to do is you want to paint the front door. Now, I'm not going to speak to this because this is our
I got
front
you.
door painter, so go for it.
There are so many things that are important about the color choice of a front door. Number one, always check with your HOA. If you're in an HOA, you have to get approval from the architectural board or committee, because you don't want to have to repaint it.
Yep, that's right.
But different colors say different things. Different cultures believe different things about the different colors. I'm not going to get into this as deeply as I really, really want to.
And as you
can
did
ask
before
me
you
later.
painted our door.
As I did. But yeah, and also if your door is wood, it's different. Should you paint it or stain it? If it's metal, should you paint it or stain it? What direction is it facing? Like, okay,
Yep.
I'm going into it. Not going into it anymore, but it matters.
Yes. And the whole thing about everything we're talking about is when the buyer pulls up to your house, the curb appeal is the first thing they see. Okay, so it does not necessarily increase value, but it increases that draw to the house. They pull up and they see this freshly painted door,
Yeah.
the lawn is well kept, all the other things we're going to talk about,
Yeah.
and they're going to desire that house. So
Well, that happened with our house in Niceville, right? That we sold. I painstakingly chose this amazing color, and looking back at the pictures, I kind of stalk it a little bit.
yeah,
They've made a couple of changes, but they kept the front door color,
right.
which was the only one in that whole community that was that color. I'm like, yes.
yep, that's right.
Yeah. So, and I would do something actually when we have a listing and I'm like, really the front door could draw more people in. I would like a seller to be willing to undergo a challenge. Like, let's see if we increase showings by painting another color 1 week and then go back. That would be fun.
That'd be fun. See if it happens.
Okay, sorry, I did go way too long.
She gets excited about all this stuff. So, okay. So the
You
next
should pat
thing.
me on my head when you say that. That's what it sounds like.
so
Aww,
fun.
she's so cute.
All right. So the next thing, we got the front doors painted. While we're on the
I'm going to
subject
go
of
on
paint.
painting the fence and the deck.
Okay.
May I continue?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, that's also very, very important. You have something to say about the deck,
do,
though. So
I do.
I'm going to, yeah.
So I cannot tell you how many times I've walked into a house, especially
Mm-hmm.
townhouses, because a lot of them have the deck right off the backyard. But
Right.
any house, if you walk out and the deck is not the artificial like the Trex, but it's a real wood deck. Number one, we love real wood decks.
But it has to suit the property.
It has to suit the property. And when you walk out and you look at that deck, if it is not treated, doesn't look like it's been cared for or freshly painted, the first thing that comes to the buyer's mind is they say, oh, we're going to have to redo the deck. And that's an immediate deduction on value for them. Same thing with the fence. They can look out at a fence and it can be a beautiful fence. It may be structurally sound, just like the deck could be structurally sound.
It could
but
be
if
almost new.
But that appearance, if it doesn't appear that way,
Right.
they're going to think they have to make repairs. And they will say it. They will say, we're going to have to replace the deck. We have to replace the fence. I don't want to get into this bidding situation. I'm going to back out. So there's...
That's true.
Yeah.
And here's another to build your case. So I'm a huge fan of cedar shake roofs. Okay, I
Yes.
realize we're not talking about roofing right now, but it matches. I love them. My favorite thing is when they're so old that they have the green moss on it, which apparently is like this huge no-no.
Yep.
Okay, so we had to replace our roof. It was gorgeous cedar shake. Some places had the wonderful moss. I'm like, can you install a new cedar shake with moss on it? And they looked at me like I had a third eye in the middle of my forehead. So I realized one day this shall turn into a product, and we got
the metal roof.
a black metal roof.
Yep.
Okay, which is gorgeous. It's fine. So this is another one of those things that but I just installed that deck or fence last year. It's brand new. It doesn't translate like an edged lawn does. They think, I have to replace this. This is going to be a huge expense. So it's not your home. It's a product.
Yep.
And those are facts.
And that brings a good point, because the metal roof gives like a trim, like a clean edge effect, right? So the edging of the yard is a clean edge effect. When somebody pulls up to your front yard, your driveway, you want them to feel clean and fresh. You want, if you have extensive landscaping already, you want those bushes trimmed. You want everything trimmed back in a nice, clean condition. You want to trim your bushes. So this is the next thing: is remove weeds, trim bushes. You want to trim your bushes if they're up against your house. You want to give yourself a foot to a foot and a half from the house. For two reasons: it presents well, and you don't want them too tall. It presents well, but if you're in a situation where you're going to end up with a home inspection, the inspector is going to bring this up. They're going to say it needs to come back, and your trees need to be trimmed as well, so where they're not touching the roof, because that allows critters and roof damage.
And siding damage and all of this. And on a safety note, so we always make sure that I can at least walk through sideways in between our hedges and our house. My granny was actually burgled.
She was burgled.
Or robbed. Yeah, because she pulled up after work one night, and there was a burglar hiding in her like overgrown hedges and stuff in between her house. And so it's also a safety thing. You need to be able to look back and see, not just for burglars but also varmints.
Varmints.
Snakes and whatever.
Burglars are varmints.
They are varmints.
All right, so you really want to get that
for all kinds of reasons.
Yes, absolutely. Next, since we're on the flower beds and fresh mulch.
Even if it's good mulch and thick mulch, put a thin layer of fresh mulch.
Yeah, they want that color. It really makes the yard pop, especially if you have the clean edging. Going back to the edging, if you have the yard is straightened up, all the bushes are trimmed back nicely, it's gonna look really good.
Right.
So, next we want to talk about the actual house itself.
Yes. Okay, so you want to keep your windows clean. Even remove the screens, right? Yep. Even do that before we have the photographer come in, because your listing pictures are going to be so much better. Just store them in the garage,
or
some sort of storage room, attic, basement, whatever. But remove the window screens.
Be sure you mark what room they go to.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Have all of the windows cleaned. Pressure wash the entire house. You can even pressure wash the roof, and that honestly, that goes so far. Have you seen some of those roofs where, like at the chimney or different places, the water runs down and you'll see the streaks? People think the roof is bad. Oh my gosh. Just, if you don't need a new roof, have the roof pressure washed or cleaned, however they do it. We've done it before, and it was amazing. Clean the gutters. You don't have to. I mean, if they're hanging over, right? You just want to clean them enough.
Yeah, so it presents cleanly.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, oh wow, they don't take care of this. That's another one of the edging your yawn.
Yeah. You need it.
Why can't I talk today? I haven't slept in for the first time in forever. I should be totally on. You want to edge your yawn.
Edge your yawn,
yeah.
And your sidewalks and your driveway. You know, just give the house a bath. It's like if you were going to sell a car, you would take that car, you would vacuum it, you would take it to the detailer and get it cleaned and waxed, because you want it to present as nicely as possible.
That's true.
Give the house a good bath.
Yeah.
And then, I don't personally understand this, but I know that Kelly likes it. I know that it's always recommended by our stagers, but putting the potted plants by the front door.
Okay. I was a tough sell on the potted plants by the front door, because I thought remove all clutter, right? But it sells. It's good because it's that little addition of home.
Yeah.
It's not considered clutter, but do not ever, 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 ever put fake plants anywhere.
Yes, don't put fake plants.
Just don't do it. if it's like, well, like I'm gonna have to keep white, just don't do it at all, right? Just don't.
Yep.
Not artificial, but do it. Just your shrubberies.
Yeah, I've heard like yellow flowers or something. Something that's welcome.
I wouldn't even worry about flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
anyway.
So that potted plant. And then something that's not on our list here, but it just kind of came to mind. If you have let's say you have a front porch and it has the columns, and if the paint is peeling on the columns, go ahead and get them painted. You don't necessarily need to paint the exterior of the house unless it's in bad condition.
Yeah.
But again, if you walk up and there's chipping paint somewhere, the buyers going to see it and they're going to think there's wood rot or there's water damage or there's leaking. So just freshen everything up.
And it also bears mentioning whenever you're having everything pressure washed that sometimes that will show where your paint is a little bit loose and off. So that might show you places that you need to do that. And also carry this into your garage floor. If you don't have one of those gorgeous garage floors, which I feel like I'm seeing
more and
more makes buyers feel like, I really like this place. The really nice fleckety painted ones, which I want to do that really.
And paint your garage. Oh my gosh!
But so at least have your garage floor also pressure washed. That'll go a long way. And pay attention to the current trend. If you have like a pillar at your front porch, pillar or column or whatever, pay attention to what people are doing right now, because it's as simple as painting a front door and makes a huge difference. Like we have our house is white with a black roof and black
windows
trim around the windows, and our column is white, and I'm starting to notice, so this is on my it's number 3 on the list. I'm painting it black, and I think it's going to be really, really amazing. So just kind of do that, or ask me. I'll tell you what to do.
Yeah. So little things like that. And we're focusing on things that aren't going to be too super expensive.
Yeah.
Painting the house might get a little expensive. Pay a painter, but
don't paint the house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have to.
Not for outside. You really just touch it up. Unless it's a really bad color.
Yeah, or a lot of damage.
I mean, you could.
Anyway, we'll get in the weeds here. So these are 10 to 11 items that you can do to just spruce up the curb appeal. Not a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that adding a pool doesn't add value.
Yeah.
That's a whole other subject, because it could add value to some families, could detract value for others.
People think outdoor living spaces and pools add a lot of value. Not so.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Here's what they do. They may add value to an appraisal, but they do decrease your buyer pool. Because what ends up happening is...
A pool could decrease the buyer pool, because you're worried about your poor sweet babies.
Yes.
But the outdoor living space will never decrease the buyer pool.
But it does increase, and it also increases
it can decrease your ROI.
Definitely. Okay, so yes, it increases... Let's say you spend $350 on an outdoor living space, and you get an extra $350 on the value, you're net zero. So it's not really worth it unless you want to live in it and enjoy it.
But... we are getting back to the air. Oh, I'm like my grandma smoking. I noticed I do that. I don't smoke, but I'll tell you one thing.
Yes.
Now that we're getting back to where with all the multiple bids, multiple offers and everything, now I really feel like even a zero ROI is going to get people bidding up higher. So
that's true, because it's like a
increase
bonus.
that ROI.
Yeah. Depending on the market.
I don't know, we might cut that part out. Yeah. That's just me. That's my inside thoughts coming out.
There's that filter.
Dang it.
All right. Okay, so if you have any questions, reach out to us. And
at 703-424-5873.
Or SeanPrice.realtor at 8 AOL.
I'm sorry. He is that old, but we've turned him to the Gmail side of life.
Yeah, so SeanPrice.realtor at Gmail. Yes,
and I'm Kelly Price. The same.
I'm talking about me. Sean is SEAN. It's shh. How'd you do it? Shh.
It's SEAN. Yeah. It's like I've created a whole new letter to the alphabet. Yeah. So I speak English, ENGLIS.
Okay, anyway, if you need us, reach out to us. We'll see you guys next time.